The year is 2025. The world watches as the conflict in Ukraine grinds on. Eerie parallels to the US withdrawal from Afghanistan in 2021 are emerging. The hasty departure, the return of a feared power, the humanitarian crisis. These images are seared into our collective memory. Could Ukraine become Europe's Afghanistan? The recent meeting between US and Russian officials in Saudi Arabia, without European or Ukrainian participation, has deepened anxieties. This echoes the Doha Agreement, where the US negotiated with the Taliban, sidelining the Afghan government. Such moves raise serious concerns about Ukraine's fate being decided without its involvement. Europe cannot afford to be a bystander in this unfolding drama. The ghost of Afghanistan looms large, reminding us of the dangers of relying solely on US leadership. The chaotic withdrawal exposed the limits of American power and the unpredictability of its commitments. Europe must learn from this experience and chart its own course. The stakes are higher than ever. The future of Europe's security architecture hangs in the balance. A weak and divided Europe risks emboldening Russia and undermining global stability. The time for European strategic autonomy is now. For decades, Europe has relied heavily on the US for its security. This dependence, while understandable in the aftermath of World War II, is no longer sustainable. The US, facing its own domestic challenges and shifting global priorities, is increasingly looking inward. The Trump presidency, with its America First agenda, was a wake-up call for Europe. Trump's transactional approach to foreign policy, his disdain for alliances, and his willingness to engage with adversaries like Putin sent shockwaves through European capitals. The Biden administration, while more committed to transatlantic relations, has also emphasized the need for European burden sharing. The message is clear. Europe can no longer expect a blank check from Washington. It must invest in its own defense and take greater responsibility for its security. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine has exposed the limitations of European defense capabilities. While individual European countries have provided substantial military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine, a truly unified and robust European response has been lacking. This underscores the urgent need for a more coherent and coordinated European defense policy. Strategic autonomy does not mean abandoning transatlantic relations or creating a European army overnight. It is about building a more capable and assertive Europe that can act independently when necessary, while remaining a strong and reliable partner to the US. Achieving this requires a multi-pronged approach. First, Europe must increase its defense spending and invest in key capabilities such as intelligence gathering, cyber defense, and strategic airlift. This will allow Europe to act more effectively in crisis situations and reduce its dependence on the US. Second, Europe needs to strengthen its political unity and develop a common strategic culture. This means overcoming historical divisions, forging a shared understanding of threats, and agreeing on common goals and priorities. The European Union, with its political institutions and diplomatic weight, has a crucial role to play in this process. Third, Europe must engage more actively in its neighbourhood and beyond. This includes strengthening partnerships with like-minded countries, promoting democracy and human rights, and addressing the root causes of conflict and instability. A more proactive European foreign policy will not only enhance Europe's security, but also contribute to a more stable and prosperous world. The path towards strategic autonomy will be long and challenging. It will require political will, financial resources, and a willingness to overcome entrenched interests. However, the alternative, continued dependence on a declining and unpredictable US, is no longer an option. The conflict in Ukraine is a watershed moment for Europe. It is a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the importance of a strong and united Europe. The choices Europe makes today will shape its future for generations to come. The US withdrawal from Afghanistan, while a tragedy for the Afghan people, offers valuable lessons for Europe. It has exposed the limits of US power, the importance of European strategic autonomy, and the need for a more proactive and unified European foreign policy. Europe must not allow Ukraine to become Afghanistan 2.0. It must stand firm in its support for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. It must continue to provide military and humanitarian assistance to the Ukrainian people. And it must work tirelessly to find a peaceful resolution to the conflict. The road ahead will be long and arduous, but by learning from the mistakes of the past and embracing the principles of unity, solidarity, and strategic autonomy, Europe can build a more secure and prosperous future for itself and for the world.